What's going on, rock stars? Welcome back to another episode of The 1% Life. I'm your host, peak performance coach and trainer, Joanie Dillon. Yes, there's an RV behind me for those of you listening live on Facebooks. And I am officially in Missoula, Montana. It's gorgeous out here. I am in total heaven and really don't want to go back to Seattle in 3 weeks. And so yeah, I'm having a little moment for those of you catching this live, having some wine and taking a little deep compressor from the day, if those are words. It's been an awesome day. By the way, let me know where you're tuning in from and if you're listening to us live or on the replay. So I got to participate in something kind of fun today and really rewarding. My partner is doing a 12-day training, his master NLP practitioner training, NLP master practitioner training, and I got a little front row seat at that out here in Missoula. We have half of his clients coming in, flying in 6 days, and the first half is virtual, and then the back half is virtual and in person for those who want to fly in. And it's been really fun and rewarding to see some of my clients who are also in that group, some of you maybe who are watching this live as well, really begin to see their lives transform in very quickly. And so what happens is in 12 days, they're all master practitioners of NLP, they're master coaches of NLP and some other certifications that they get. And this is actually where my partner and I met, was in our practitioner training, and we did our master practitioner together as well too. So it has me thinking about the fact that these individuals who are here, even if it's virtual, and how they got here, and that decision that they made that put them in this room, right? In this room. And they had 50-50 chance of making that decision in favor of joining this training that will completely change their life. And there was another 50% chance that they would have decided not to have just taken their practitioner training and to go on with just that. And I'm thinking about how much more like exponentially their life is going to evolve and just transform because of this one decision they made. And sure, like how many of us have these decisions in our life that we vacillate on, right? There's decisions about, I remember almost 5.5 years ago, when I was faced with a big decision to either continue in my past career in timeshare sales or to leave and become an entrepreneur once again. And mind you, just 7 years before that, I had a failing business, or a business that was doing really well, and then the economy crashed, and I at the time did not know how to handle that, and my business was failing fast. And so I entered this world of timeshare sales, grew to the top of the business very quickly. Within my first year was a 0.01%er, and every year got better thereafter. And it was a really tough decision because there was a point in time that I finally realized that I'm no longer happy. I'm no longer being fulfilled, not being fulfilled by the work that I'm doing in that space. And again, for those of you who are in that world, your time is your time and your experience is your experience. And some of you will stay your entire careers there, and others of you, in a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, you'll transition, and that's just when it's your time, and you'll know. But it took me about 2.5 years to really pull the trigger on that. And I was making a multiple six-figure, like high multiple six-figure income, really good multiple six-figure income, working 20, 25 hours a week, 30 hours a week on a big week. And I would take off 16 weeks a year to travel the world. Every September to June, I was off 1 to 3 weeks, and I'd still, come in number one, and more times than not. And so it was really hard for me to finally say, okay, I'm going to, as done with it as I was, it was hard for me to finally say, okay, I'm officially done. I'm officially calling it quits and stepping away from this comfortable job that I knew so well, like the back of my hand. I mean, I could sell timeshare to anybody because, number one, I know how to build rapport, and I know how to create a problem, and I know how to provide a solution, and people like me or liked me in that business. And I think they still do, most of them. Many do not. That's okay. But I I knew how to lead people to what they really ultimately wanted, which was more time with their family, quality time with their family, traveling to beautiful places in the world and creating experiences and memories with them. And so it was very easy for me to do. And I traveled so much myself that it was a no-brainer. And when I actually had to say, okay, my values are no longer aligned. My apologies, there's kids riding their bikes through the RV park. My values are no longer aligned with the work that I'm doing in terms of my freedom being my number one value. I felt it was not being met. My value was not being met, right? I no longer could take 4 months off a year. It was like, you got 15 days. And I said, well, that'll be done in January. What am I going to do the rest of the year? And my management failed to help me meet my number one value, which was freedom. And it lasted from when that happened. I had already been uncomfortable. I'd already been, not uncomfortable, but like, there was this thing that was just stirring in me of, is it time yet? Is it time now? And I knew I wanted to go out and create a business online, live that laptop lifestyle that was once really a thing. And still, for me it is. I'm here, spent all day with my partner at his training, and was on meetings in between and sometimes throughout, and just still being there to support him whenever I could. And in Montana with his coach, our RV, and it's like living on my laptop, literally got a bottle of wine, like having, like working my business here. And that really intrigued me almost 6 years ago, and really since 2009, when I wanted to create that lifestyle of freedom, but I didn't fully know how, right? Sometimes you think you need to know the how before you just decide. How many of you can relate to that? And I started learning and mastering certain skill sets, which I think are really important. One of which was, thank God for timeshare, because it really taught me how, and because I stepped fully into it and I immersed myself in how to be incredible at this, not just good or great or, but absolutely excellent at it, like one of the best in the world. And that was my focus. And to do so, with integrity, as opposed to what we call pitching heat. It was not part of my values. And because I learned how to master a high income skill, closing, I can then leave that business, or that company, and create a business that involves, high ticket coaching services and programs, right? And so my point here is not that in particular. The high income skill is great. Yes, I think that all of us should be developing high income skills, right? Income skills that generate income, and a lot of it, right? And closing sales, not just learning how to sell, but being able to close it, get the money, is a very essential skill. Maybe you agree. And in fact, when I have kids someday, my partner and I were talking, like, oh yeah, our kids are going to be selling us on why they need to go have a sleepover, why they need to be riding their bikes around screaming, right? Why they need to do that stuff, because we're going to turn them into incredible salespeople at an early age, and they're going to be running businesses. And it's just like, those are important life skills you don't learn in college. And the topic of this episode is your new life, right? I believe we called it, your new life is just one decision away. And I'm thinking back at the pivotal moments in my life that really created the greatest impact. One of which was deciding to finally leave my business that was failing, and saying, okay, it is what it is. It's now time to move on. Right? And not having to prove something when I was no longer connected to it. And then I stepped into timeshare. And yeah, there was this whole thing of, oh my God, you have a master's in business, you have 3 degrees. It's like, and you're going to go sell timeshare, and your sister's a doctor, your brother's an engineer, your parents are, like scientists. It's just, who cares, right? Like, that was the next best decision for me at the time. And when I decided to finally do that, it changed my freaking world. It changed my world. And, I made incredible income. I learned an incredible skill that I was able to go out and, now teach people around the world how to create massive influence over others, and move them towards action, move them towards the yes, move them towards changing and transforming their lives in a huge way. So that decision, the decision of eventually leaving that job that filled me so much for so long, and at one point stopped filling me, stopped providing what it was once providing for me, despite the income, despite what many would say, that's a cushy job. Why would you have ever left that? I get asked that all the time. Why would you leave? If you were so good, why would you leave? If you were making that kind of money, why would you leave? Because at some point when your values feel compromised and are being compromised, you're no longer congruent with what it is that you're doing, then it doesn't make sense to stay. And that decision, and now just recently I was forced with another decision. There's a lot of stuff going on in Seattle. I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me, but my partner's like, he wants me out of Seattle. And I'm also kind of over the city, right? And we decided together that we have this dream of building this retreat center out in Montana, buying land, which I'm a city gal. Like, I was talking to my friend, called me from Germany today. She says, holy shit, like if you are like moving to Montana, am I talking to the same girl I've known for years? Yes, you are, right? We evolve, we change, our values shift throughout our life. And my values have certainly shifted. I'm turning 41 this month, you guys. And, I found the man that I want to spend my entire life with. And little did I know he was in my life for the past 5 years, but we were not ready then, and we're ready now. And it now involves us making a decision. Are we going to stay in a place that no longer feeds us, or me really, because wasn't living there other than the past month? Or are we going to get uncomfortable, make the decision, decide to leave our friends? Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it sucks to leave my friends, rather, leave my family. I have an aging father who's 81 years old. I have my brother and his family who live there. My nephew's actually happens to be coming to Montana in like 3 days for college. But leave my family and friends and the city that I knew and had grown to love for so long, that no longer feeds me in that way, in order to go. Yet how many of us stay where we're still not being fed, whether it's relationship and being in partnership, even with people who you do business with. You're no longer being fed in the work that you do. You're no longer being fed in any number of situations where you live, any number of situations and circumstances in your life. Yet many people decide to stay because it's so, it tests you to leave, right? Like, we have to step into our faith, and we have to step into our courage to actually make the decision to leave and to never look back. And that's uncomfortable for people. And so guess what we do? We go back and we resort back to being comfortable. And the thing I want to mention is that comfort's actually an illusion, right? Are we really comfortable in the life that keeps us safe and playing small? Are we really comfortable not realizing our goals and dreams? Are we really comfortable not making the income that we deserve and desire? Are we really comfortable not doing those audacious big goals and achieving the thing that you've always wanted to achieve, that it's freaking uncomfortable to achieve, to go after even, let alone achieve, right? The achieving happens once you've decided to go after it. Only then do you even have an option to achieve it. Otherwise, you've already decided not to. So these things they're not easy decisions to make. And yet, how many of those decisions that you have made in the past have resulted in the most rewarding experiences of your life? And I'm curious to hear, for those of you listening to this on Facebook or on YouTube, what are some of those experiences for you? What were some of those experiences for you that created a massive pivot perhaps in your life, or just rewarded you with, there was a risk there, right? And here's the thing about achieving the outcomes that you desire, right? Big rewards come with big risks. Small rewards come with small risks. So for those of you who are listening to this because you are someone who knows you're meant for more, which I believe that's all of you, or you wouldn't be here tuning in Monday through Friday or however often that you do, and keep searching for that thing, that what's next for me, right? What's on the other side of that? You know you're meant for more, and getting to that outcome that you desire, and maybe you're still gaining clarity on what specifically that is, and that's okay, but it requires a big risk. It requires big risk, right? If we want to do small risks, little tiny small risks, like, okay, I'm going to do a Facebook Live today. It's a small risk for a small reward, right? But you continue to do that activity, and over a prolonged period of time, the continued momentum of that results in a big reward. You build an audience, you build a following, you get clients, etc. But if you want to create massive change and impact on your life, well, it involves saying yes to very big, risky things, and making a decision to just do the thing. What is it? What do you know you need to do, Rockstar, but you're not doing it? What is the thing that you know you need to do? You know you perhaps should do, but you're not doing it. You're putting off that decision. What is it that freaks you out if it doesn't work, right? What's that thing that freaks you out if it doesn't work, but if it were to, would change everything for you? And what do you get by playing small and holding back in your life? What do you get for that? How has that really created a life that you desire? I mean, has it? I assume that it has not. And perhaps there were moments in your past that you did take those big risks. You did make a decision and you went after something. And for many people, and y'all are free and clear from this, there can be a pivotal moment in their life that something traumatic happens to them, and it changes their world. It changes how they proceed, their behaviors, their actions, their perspective, and impacts how they show up. And if we're unaware of these things, my partner was talking to somebody yesterday, and it's actually, you won't know him, it's the owner of the house that we're moving into out here as we look for our home and find the property that we want to build our retreat center on. And this guy's a physician, and 6 years ago he had a traumatic, his wife died, and then a year later, I believe it was a brother died, and then a year after that, like a parent died, or in some order like that. And it was just, all of these tragedies for him were extremely traumatic. And there are things that he has not been able to do since that, because of those experiences that are left unresolved for him, right? And so there are often moments in our life that that change things, right? And when maybe, and again, you're free and clear from this, but maybe you were moving forward at, like, God, things were going so good for you, and then bam, something happened. You're like, what the hell? Who am I right now? I was talking to one of my brand new clients, and she was doing really well in her sales career before. I mean, pretty decently well, right? And then she took a substantial amount of time off to go do another sales, and moved into the real estate world, came back, and it was like, man, she never caught, it was slightly different when selling on the phones versus selling in person, but never caught her stride again. And I promise you, there was a moment that she decided to believe that she couldn't do it like she once did it. And that's impacted her results, right? It's impacted her not achieving those goals, not hitting Sapphire, the awards and the things that she wants to achieve in her business, not selling $2 million a year, not doing all of the things that she wants. So we got to start looking at this stuff that's happening in our life or even in our past and say, okay, so what was the learning there? What's unresolved that I need to work through? And how can I begin working through that now, leveraging the power of my subconscious mind? I really talk with my coaching clients about building that relationship with your subconscious mind every single day, so that you trust your subconscious mind. When your subconscious mind's going through some stuff, you work with your subconscious mind to release it, to dissolve the thing that's going on, right? To let go of it, perhaps. And also know that your subconscious mind is there to support you with guidance, with clear direction, and that it needs a certain protocol to operate in the way that it's meant to serve you and best support you. So I want to tell you about the definition of the word decide, right? Decide actually comes from the Latin word decidere, and the meaning which is a combination of two words, right? So de, which means off, like OFF, off, like to turn off. And the word cadere, and I could be saying that wrong, cadere, I think if I remember my Latin correctly, equals cut, right? So think about that. To cut off, to cut off, to cut off all other options, to remove yourself from any other possibility. That's literally what the word means. So when you decide, it doesn't matter what boulder gets put in your way. It doesn't matter what valley gets put there, what crater, what mountain you have to climb. If the road looks zigzagged, or you're going up hills and under, under things and through, and you're smacking your head against a wall at times, it doesn't matter. Is it still possible to get from A to Z, even if the path looks a little jagged and broken? Of course, even if you don't know how, you've just decided and you've cut off all other options. Another word to say it is you've burned your freaking boats. You've burned your boats from Napoleon Hill, right? We're going to burn our boats before we get onto that island and go to war, because that's your only option. If we have our boats to retreat to, then y'all are going to go back and we're going to lose this war. So burn the boats now, which means the only way we're getting off this island alive is by taking over whatever was on the other side of that island. It's really, really crucial. So I was excited for my new client, Connie, because she's like, I'm so pumped that I've, just even feeling the shift on my calls now, because I decided that I am going there. I am this new sales professional who's achieving, $2 million in sales and making X dollars of income per year and changing, her life for the better. And I'm never going back, and literally just wiping your hands clear of that. So what is that for you? What is it that you are ready to declare, ready to decide, ready to never look back? What is that thing for you? Hope you got value from today. Somebody in the comments below, leave us a 5-star rating and a review. Share this episode out. Tag me on Instagram at Joanie Dillon. Take a screenshot of this on your phone. Tag me in it. Let me know what you liked, what you loved, what you learned, and just share this out so we can reach more people. Ultimately, all of your goals, all of your dreams, all of your 1% lives are on the other side of the decisions that you make. So learning to make those decisions quickly, swiftly, considering all the information, making that decision with a combination of analyzing it from your head and looking at your heart. Not getting stuck in your head, but also working with your heart. And those are the most successful entrepreneurs. Those are the most successful people, the most successful investors who combine both their head and their heart in their decision making, as opposed to just what the data says or just what it appears. When you decide, the way shows up. When you decide, the path appears. When you decide, the freaking skies will part for you. The universe will conspire to show you the way. Let me know that you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you tomorrow here on the 1% Life Show. Rockstars, you are incredible. Get out there and be unstoppable. Change some lives today. You certainly deserve it, and they do too. Peace. Bye, everyone.